Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is my very first vlog, so I'm kind of new to everything around here, so please support me. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have any other questions after I do this video, because this video is going to be about my experience on getting here to Korea and what it's like in quarantine and what you kind of need to prepare mentally for. So yeah, let's get into it. So I had two layovers. I had one in Houston and I had another one in Frankfurt, and both of my PCR tests that I submitted, they were fine. Nobody really told me anything. They just let me board the flight, so I just thought I was okay. So on my way to Frankfurt, I didn't have anybody on the plane. Like literally there was probably like less than 15 or 20 people on the flight, so I had a whole row to myself. I landed in Frankfurt around noon and I was just chilling for most of the time until my flight, which was around 6, and that's when everything started to go really bad. So basically, once we were boarding, there was a lot of people on our flight. I didn't really expect that many people to go to Korea in the first place. I just really thought that the airline had limited how many people could honestly fly. What ended up happening was that there was a huge line to get our PCR test checked, and there was only so many check-in ladies, and they were all just trying to get through us as fast as they could, which probably really wasn't the best idea. I was getting my PCR test checked, and then the lady told me that I had taken it too early. I was just really confused because I passed it at 2 airports. Like, they would have told me something if it was wrong. And she was just like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, just go to the service desk and they'll tell you what to do. And I was like, okay lady, but what about my baggage? Like, it's on the plane. And she's like, yeah, don't worry about it, just go. And she was really rude about it, and I just started to cry because I didn't know what to do. I was just frustrated with the entire situation. I ended up going to the service desk and I tell them the entire situation, and she just basically tells me the same thing, and that I would just catch the next flight, which was okay with me if that meant that the next flight would be the next afternoon and I would just take the COVID test in the morning. But they told me that the next flight wouldn't be until 3 days later. Mind you, I landed in Frankfurt on Monday, February the 8th. The next flight wouldn't be until February the 11th. So yeah, 3 days at the airport. Turned out I had to stay in the terminal without leaving. There was no showers. There was no hotel for me to stay at because there was none inside of the airport that were available for me to book. And I couldn't obviously go out, so no hotel and no vouchers for food or anything, which kind of made me upset because as an airline they should be as accommodating as possible. They're making me stay 3 days, so like they should have kind of been more understanding. But thankfully I wasn't the only one who got left behind. There's at least 10 more people that got left behind because of their COVID test. I made a friend and she stayed with me for those 3 days, and we both endured those 3 days of misery. It was really hard for us to like kind of process the fact that we had to just find somewhere to stay at and basically look around for an empty bench we could sleep at, and like kind of survive on minimal food because airport food is just so expensive. And aside from the fact that we also had to get a really expensive COVID test done, we had to also figure out how to get there. The day of the COVID test, nobody really explained to us where we go. Nobody really even checked up on us throughout those 3 days. We were just kind of by ourselves, and whenever we did ask for help, nobody really gave it to us, or they just didn't know themselves. We're late to our COVID test just because nobody told us that the COVID facility was actually at a different terminal. So we were just running left and right, like trying to get to the other terminal without me getting left behind because I had been told that I couldn't leave this terminal. So we just ended up going for it, and I mean, it was the right thing to do because I mean, we got it to our COVID test. We were 40 minutes late, but we were able to get it done. And then afterwards we just waited about 3 or 4 hours and they sent us our results through email. The thing about it is that my friend, who was French, she actually got really mad because her COVID test was the same exact thing as a German airport COVID test, except hers was in French, and she was just really mad that she wasn't allowed to board, even though her friend, who had done her COVID test at the same clinic as hers, was able to board the flight. So I will admit, every night the terminal was left pretty much scaringly empty. After watching all these flights board all day long, I only roamed once, and that was just to go to the restroom. And yeah, there was a lot of people at the airport for these flights, and I was just really surprised that there was this many people. I really couldn't sleep at night, and I was basically the night guard for our belongings. I mean, not that anyone would want to steal the very few belongings we had, but still, the 3 days at the airport did kind of traumatize both my friend and I, so we were just really alert on everything. And again, we were really nervous for this new flight because we were scared they weren't going to let us board again, but luckily everything went well. and we got on our flight. We arrived at the airport and they have everywhere where you need to go to. I first waited in this line where I got my PCR test and my temperature check. I tried to have at least amount of clothing on me because I heard that if you were too hot they would take a COVID test for you, and I didn't want to do that. So then we moved to a different line where they called your Korean contact, and they also made sure that I had downloaded both of the quarantine apps. So this is to show my mom that I finally came.
Yay! Oh my god, you made it, Valeria. You made it.
I just went through normal immigration process, got my fingerprints done, signed some quarantine forms, and I was able to pick up my luggage. I just waited about an hour to an hour and a half for that shuttle bus to take me to the government facility hotel. Again, because I didn't have this visa to stay in Korea for too long, I would have to go to this government facility. Though I will say nobody really tells you what's going on, you're just kind of expected to wait. So if you have really bad patience, I would really try to work on that. Eventually, I arrived at my hotel after 6 hours of arriving in Korea. My hotel room is pretty much a standard 2-night hotel you would get to sleep at Disneyland. I mean, it's nothing too special. The only special thing about it is the $1,500 price tag on it, and the hotel room itself gives you basic hygiene stuff, so that was really nice. At first, I was really impressed by the quarantine food because I hadn't had actual food other than airport food. But as the days go by, I noticed that the food slightly gets less seasoned, and it's okay because I still eat it or whatever. But they feed me about 3 times a day, 8 a.m., 12 p.m., and 6 p.m. and I have to basically go out in a mask, and that's the only time I basically get to step out of my room. As you can see, they always pack some kind of little yogurt and a salad in my meal. They always pack a fruit. Lately they've been giving a lot of bananas and I don't really know what to do with them. The timing for the meals is weirdly spaced out, but it really helps with organizing my day, so it's kind of helpful. But since then, I've pretty much spent my quarantine eating and stressing about my visa and course registration. I have gotten a bit of rest, and I hope that you guys kind of enjoyed hearing my crazy journey about getting to Korea during these really tough times. But I'll be updating you guys about my life in Korea once I get out of quarantine. But until then, stay healthy.